Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to another video. I hope you guys are doing well today. In this video, we're going to be carrying on with our 9.0.5 patch notes and talking about the positive changes to the game and if they've done enough with this to really change the way people are feeling about the game. So, first thing we can talk about is Fleshcraft. It's a massive change. Ultimately, just to sum it up and TLDR it, takes less time to channel, which is 3 seconds instead of 4, which is lovely. You get a 40% max health buff, no matter if you do it next to a corpse or nothing, it will always be 40%. While channeling it, you will take 20% less damage. That's huge. It can actually be used as a cooldown and things like that for tanks now, which is really, really nice. And moving near an enemy's corpse consumes their essence to reduce Fleshcraft's cooldown. For things like Mythic Plus, this is amazing, and you will get down to like 1 minute cooldown Fleshcrafts, which is really, really nice. And they've changed it as well that the Plagueful dungeon will also just grant their buffs when their corpses are consumed. That's really nice. It turns it into a passive thing instead of a kind of very active thing as well, which is nice. Soulbinds, obviously there's a couple of changes there around the Fleshcraft stuff, and we're not worried about the anima conductors because who cares about that? So all of this stuff is changes to the way like the mini games and stuff like that in the Covenants work. I haven't done a lot of the extra stuff. I'm not interested in it, so I'm not going to comment too much. I don't think this is something people really care about. Please, if I'm wrong, let me know, but I don't think this is something that people are really that interested in. Let's get into something that people are interested in: dungeons and raids. So, Halls of Atonement. Loyal Stoneborn now persists for 45 seconds when charmed by a Vented player. It was 30. This is just a huge buff, honestly. It's a 50% buff. We like that. Let's go. And the Loyal Stoneborn damage is now reduced by 50% while charmed. So, okay, they've reduced the damage but up the duration. And the Stoneborn boon, which reduces your damage taken, is also increased to 45 seconds. This is a bit of a weird one. They've reduced the damage to stop it being so kind of, I would say overwhelming, but it's not. I mean, it's something that helps, but ultimately this just allows for like bigger pulls. And all it's going to do is allow for things like hunters, mages, boomies, monks, all them classes, DKs to do more damage because they're going to have more damage reduction for longer. Okay, so it's an interesting change. They've kind of changed the balance of it. Instead, it's a weaker cooldown for a longer duration, which is fine. Sanguine Depths. Anima Cages now persist for a minute after activation rather than 45 seconds. That's really, really nice. Okay, so I haven't tested this, but this could be amazing. So, the change 1 minute after activation instead of 45 seconds, that's just a huge buff. We like that. Sinful Boon is applied to players when any enemy is slain nearby, rather than certain enemy types. So I wonder if you're going to start getting buffs for every mob in there, of which case you could start to see bigger pulls. Because the second one, which looks like it's been changed, so the one they're talking about here, they moved one of the anima cages away, is the second anima cage before the bridge after the first boss. So, okay. Now I'm going to talk more about this in a second. This is a bad change. Okay? We don't like this change. Well, I don't like this change. If you do like this change, tell me why. I'm interested. We're going to talk about this first. So, Plagueful, the Brood Assassins no longer trigger the Necrotic Affix. Honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal, but fine. It's a nice change. And Stonewall Gargons no longer trigger the Necrotic Affix. That was a big deal. Thank you for changing this. So, Mythic Keystone Dungeons. The formula for determining the level of the first Mythic Keystone players receive each week has been adjusted. So, at the moment, if you do a Mythic plus 16, doesn't matter if it's in time or not, you do a Mythic plus 16, you will receive a 15 key from your box for the rest of the season, or until this change. That's now being changed. After this change, Keystone level will continue to decrease by 1 per week until players again complete a higher level Keystone. So if we do a 16 this week, nothing next week, when we next get a key, it'll be a 14. A player who completes a level 15 Keystone will receive a level 14 Keystone the next week if they do not complete a 15 or higher Keystone. Now, what does this change? For the people who have done a 16 once and then never again, you'll no longer get your 15 keys every week. If you're doing 15, 14, them level keys every week anyway, doesn't make a difference. We don't like it. It's just annoying. It doesn't really change anything for anyone who's interested in Mythic Keystones. It just seems like an annoying change for the sake of it, and I don't really understand their reasoning. So if you have any comments on this, I'm really interested to hear. But personally for me, I do at least 4 Mythic Keystones from 14 to 16s every week. I'm going to get a 15 keystone at least. It's not a problem for me. So items and reward. The one change this does make is that if you take a week off, you'll get a lower keystone. So horrible weeks where you don't want to do any Mythic Plus because the affixes are horrible and that's something that really needs to be addressed. You're going to lose 1 level on your keystone, which, fine, whatever. So items and reward. The new tree mount is here. Woohoo. Now, I'm going to go over the Valor changes in another video, I think, because there are a lot to talk about with it. Ultimately, really good change. You get 5,000 Valor that you can earn in the first week, and you get 750 each week after that. And you can only hold 1,500 Valor per character at a time. So, and the only thing is a little bit upsetting. You can't upgrade gear that you have already. You have to go and re-earn that gear from Mythic Plus. It's a bit of a thing, but hey, never mind. I will talk more about it in another video. Completing a Mythic Keystone dungeon after the timer has ended will now reward a second item. This is a huge change, and the reason it's a huge change is that it will kind of diminish, it won't stop it, it'll never stop it, but it will kind of diminish the idea of people realising that a keystone is not going to be timed and just leaving the key. Happens all of the time, Kazakh players. I knew it was you. But it's something that really needed addressing, and this may help. So the item level of the second item will be slightly lower. The example it uses is finishing a Mythic 7 Keystone dungeon will now, but not completing the timer, will give a party a 200 eye level and a 197 item. So I imagine, and I don't know for sure, but I imagine if you do like a Mythic 15, which would give you a 210 item, if you don't time it, you'll also get a 207 item. It's a really nice change. I like it. I mean, ultimately, if you're farming Mythic 15s for 210 items, a 207 item is not really great, but it's still nice to get a second piece of loot. So I'm not going to complain. More loot is good loot. The Great Vault raid loot requirements, they've changed it from 3,710 to 369. Doesn't really change anything. If you're going to kill everything, you're going to kill everything anyway. Potency conduits now also drop in Castle Nathria. Why this didn't come out with Castle Nathria, I do not know. But hey, it's a really nice change because it means you can start getting the 226 potency conduits from Mythic, 233 off the last 2 bosses, I believe. Heroic 213s, 220 something, I don't know. Lots of numbers. But yes, we're going to start getting potency conduits that are higher than 200 from like an actual reliable source. It's a really good change. This is your weekly quest. It just says that you'll get gold and anima now from finishing the weekly quests. That's really nice. All in all, this section and the dungeons and raids, the Valor is something that I'll talk about, like I said, in another video. Everything else, positive changes. I like it. Nothing here that I'm overly upset by. Again, the Mythic Keystone dungeon is probably the biggest change, but that's not something that isn't overwhelmingly. It's not necessary, and it's something that I don't understand their logic for changing, but it's not something that's going to affect my week or many people's weeks on a regular basis. So that's fine. I'm actually going to stop this video here before I get into the legendaries. Thank you for watching, guys, and catch you later. Goodbye.